in the past, whether it's being a product leader or being involved with the sales team, it's identifying those aha moments to the engineers building something. So they can't be expected to be an expert on your entire catalog, not to mention you're probably not their only supplier. They may have three or four other suppliers that they're dealing with. So when you think about the choices and the understanding of what they need to make design recommendations on, it's not thousands of parts. It's probably tens of thousands. So how, as a sales leader, can you identify for those aha moments or those things that they may be missing? That's a big, big opportunity.
This is Agile Talks. I'm Ryan, the guest host forever. It's like an all-time quarterback. That's actually what I'm going to call myself. I'm the all-time quarterbacks of hosts. And today I'm sitting down with 3D Agility CEO Mark Beatty, wearing a sweet Patagonia hat. Mark, how are you doing today?
Good, good, good. It's been a while. How's your summer been?
You act like we don't talk every other day. What
I
are we
know.
talking
Well,
about?
I actually like the analogy of backup quarterback because, we're paying you second string money for first class work. So, I mean, at
There
the
we
end of the
go.
day, who's winning and who's really losing here?
I would give my left arm to be Chase Daniels, one of the greatest all-time backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Okay, he's made so much money being a backup quarterback. All right, so I don't want to hear about second-class money. All right, so today let's talk about something that you and I both are uniquely qualified to talk about, though we did it in completely separate markets, and that is how to deal with customers who know more than you. All right, and the concept, for those who maybe aren't putting two and two together, is you've sold to engineers and technical people your entire professional career, and I have sold to doctors and clinicians my entire professional career. And one could argue that the people that we sell to are way smarter than us when it comes to the things that we are actually selling about. So I want you to tell me kind of your background of like how you have always approached selling to people who maybe don't know as much about the product that you're selling, but definitely know more about the application that they're applying it to.
I think that's the key point of today's discussion. Too often when we approach this conversation, there's a winner and there's a loser, right? The engineering team knows more, the sales team knows more, and you're automatically kind of setting these tension between the two. I think the way we frame today's discussion is really the engineers at the OEM or the customer that you're targeting. They truly are the expert for their application, their product. And the sales professional should be the expert on the catalog, right? So if we look at it through those two lenses, then we kind of create this unique dynamic on how we position both of them to win. And that's a reality. So many times in the past, whether it's being a product leader or being involved with the sales team, it's identifying those aha moments to the engineers building something. So they can't be expected to be an expert on your entire catalog, not to mention you're probably not their only supplier. They may have three or four other suppliers that they're dealing with. So when you think about the choices and the understanding of what they need to make design recommendations on, it's not thousands of parts. It's probably tens of thousands. So how as a sales leader can you identify for those aha moments or those things that they may be missing? That's a big, big opportunity.
Yeah, I was always nervous. Now, all right, I'm selling to doctors. It's not like they have 10,000 different options. They probably have like 4 or 5 different options. So my life was infinitely easier than yours. It's a broad use of the term infinite. But yeah, I was always nervous. Even when I knew what I was I know this procedure or I know what I'm talking about. I was always nervous about talking to these types of individuals because I didn't want to put my foot in my mouth and say something that maybe, even if it was like a faux pas, That's French, I think.
I think it is. Might be Spanish.
I think it is.
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure paw is spelled like P-A-U-X. That's definitely French.
We'll look into
Yeah, we'll look into it. We'll have the tech team look into that. I was always afraid of putting my foot in my mouth and saying something that I shouldn't have said, like not just out of like pure innocence, which isn't a fun way to sell to people, right? Though I could have taken the complete opposite approach and just been like overly confident. So, what can you tell me a story, right? Because I think one of the worst things that a rep can do is BS an answer. Okay. I was always told by the people who trained me in sales to just simply say, I don't know, I'll look into it. Mm-hmm. But that is not something that all sales reps don't like doing that. They like giving answers, even if they're half answers. Do you have a story? And I'm actually setting you up. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but do you have a story of somebody giving an answer and getting called on their BS just because I want to be entertained by somebody's stupid mistake? And if it's you, let's just make up a fake person and we'll say
no.
Bark.
If it's me, I'll just say Mark Beatty did it. So I think the theme that you're flirting with is really, really interesting, and that's something that sales organizations are constantly dealing with. So what we're talking about is competency versus confidence, right? And as a sales professional, which one do you pay for, right? To establish that trust, to establish that kind of relationship. And I think you're spot on. It is okay to say, I don't know, and go investigate and come back with the right answer. But I would challenge you, that should not be the answer all the time, right? Because what happens then is that, not learning, not knowing the catalog, not evolving becomes a crutch where you're not actually able to have that conversation. Or as a younger professional or selling a new product, you never establish that confidence to say, listen, this really is the best recommendation that I can make. So finding that balance between that competency and confidence is key. I would say without a doubt, as a young professional, right, managing a pretty large portfolio of product, it's hard to be the expert on everything within 6 months or a year. So there were a few times where you'd be sitting at the engineer or across from a customer or across from an engineer talking a solution, and a number would come out, right? Or maybe a wrong performance data point would come out, and then you'd walk out of the room and say, oh my gosh, what did I just say? So at that point, that's where you have the opportunity to course correct and write back out to the engineer and say, hey, I may have said this data point, or I may have made this reference. This is actually the correct answer. So don't let it fester, especially if you catch yourself. Sometimes, though, it doesn't come out until much later in the process or in that design, where then the truth does bubble up, and that white lie or that piece of misinformation becomes a very, very big challenge. So that 100% is something that we're helping organizations deal with is, hey, how do you position the sales professionals with the right information at the right time to really drive decision making versus that loop? I think to your point, you don't want to create downtime where you leave the office. Maybe it takes a month to get in front of that customer. You don't want to leave and lose kind of that airtime with them. So it is this really dynamic balance.
I just think about, and anyone who's ever sold to, so any sales professional who's ever said something and then you realize that you said the wrong thing, and you realize it maybe on the car ride home, maybe in that moment, right? Yeah. Maybe it's later that night while you're trying to fall asleep. In that feeling, which like is a very weird feeling as an adult of like, oh no.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
It is like it is the closest you could feel to being like a child and getting in trouble for something, of going like, oh, I did something bad. All right. So you touched on it. Can you kind of give me a high level, low level, you can go deep as you want, explanation of how you said we're helping, but really what you mean is Peregrine helps, right? Not the bird, though it is named after the bird, but how, your platform or program Peregrine helps sales teams with this specific issue.
I think what Peregrine positions a lot of these teams with is almost like a translator. So we talk about being great salespeople, but at the end of the day, what makes an elite salesperson different than an average one is their ability to kind of really listen and hear the problem that the customer is trying to solve, and then be able to translate that into a list of options or a list of solutions with trade-offs, right? So very rarely is a solution black and white. Be like, hey, this is your magic bean. It will fix all of your problems. Trust me. You may have a couple of those aces in your back pocket, but traditionally or from experience, there are trade-offs with every decision that's made. So what Peregrine does is it positions those kind of better best options in your catalog. It gives sales professional a very wide lens of what to sell and why to sell it in your catalog. And more importantly, it's helping sell different levels of packaging. So typically, we all do it, right? We all know a few things really well, and that's what we're going to lean towards, back to kind of that competence versus confidence discussion. You're going to sell what you have confidence in selling, but you may be leaving money on the table because you don't want to reach out into kind of those adjacencies or products maybe that you just acquired or products that you don't know that well. Peregrine gives that a sustainable approach and that supplemental approach to give sales professionals that wider lens.
I always find, and this is kind of going off in a tangent, but it is like what makes a really good sales professional a really good sales professional. When I think of really good sales professionals, I think of my dad, which is like, I realize no one here knows who my dad is. And it's one of those things of like, when your buddy's like, my dad's stronger than your dad. And I'll be like, no, my dad's stronger than your dad.
I mean, we're past Father's Day. This would have been the best shout out ever for Father's Day. Like,
I've given him shout outs before. I've given him shout outs before. So like, I think of my dad, who is arguably like a very, very good sales rep. And I am always amazed at his ability to go like, hey, I don't know, but I'm going to bring in someone who knows way more than me, which is not something that always happens. Right. And usually in med device, the way that they do it is bringing in like a product manager or a specialist to come and talk like, hey, if you're going to do that. And it would be bring in, I'm assuming for you, an engineer, right? A sales engineer if you were going to go in and talk about something that you don't know. And really, that's, to me, what the great thing about Peregrine is that it is like bringing in a sales engineer with you, except for companies that I would imagine, like, I won't name any companies because you get super upset when I do that. But, for these larger corporations who are constantly streamlining their sales force, it probably is harder to get an engineer to go with you on a sales call or to get you to answer any question anyway. So when I look at, like, salespeople love bringing in experts to help them. That's not the problem. And it's just, how do you do it, and how do you use it? Because nobody likes seeming dumb in a meeting, and you definitely don't like pissing off a potential client because you told them the wrong thing. So
yeah, you've worked hard to get that meeting. I get it. I totally get it.
So, well, I know you're going to go probably take a nap.
Or just deal with the smoke outside. Even though it looks
with the smoke outside.
It's early morning Friday, so we'll just roll with it. That's what we do.
We're just going to roll with the smoke. I heard it's like smoking 7 cigarettes by stepping outside. I don't know where that fact comes up with, but sure, okay. So, well, I think we've made everyone a little bit smarter when we told them, here's how you deal with customers who know more than you. Don't lie to them.
Don't lie.
If you don't know, if you don't, yeah, actually, if you take anything away from this, just don't lie to them. Just don't lie. Say, I don't know, and I'll get back to you an answer. And then for all the people who are running sales teams and running revenue driving functions in an organization, figure out how to help your sales reps answer those questions quicker, because that's the real goal here. Because they're not going to know everything, especially when you're selling 100,000 SKUs. It's not possible to know technical details or what's the application for everything. So number one, don't lie for the sales team. Number two, for the sales leaders, figure out how to help your team.
Have a plan B.
Answer.
Have a plan B. Absolutely.
So, all right, you go take your nap, and that's it. So, okay. All right, bye everyone.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Ryan. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.